I'm Kiera Morgan. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Coffee with Kiera, sponsored by the Human Being, Newport, and Lincoln City. And today I'm excited to be here with Cinamon Moffit from the Hatfield Marine Science Center and Oregon State University. Cinamon, first of all, tell folks a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for being here and being a part of this interview with me. I appreciate your time. My name is Cinamon Moffit. I'm the Research Program Manager here at Oregon State University's Hatfield Marine Science Center, located in Newport, Oregon. My job is one of those that doesn't make a lot of sense, and I wear a lot of hats, but one of them is about connecting our researchers here with the community and connecting researchers with other researchers. So that's one of the things that I do.
And you've got some exciting things coming up that does connect the community with the researchers, including the upcoming Marine Science Day. Let's talk about
Yay!
that.
Yeah, so Marine Science Day is Saturday, April 8th this year. We are back on site for folks that are local. We've been doing them remote during the pandemic, so this is our first year where we're opening our doors back up and letting the public explore all of the campus. We have over 40 exhibitors that are going to be doing tabletop exhibits, talking about the research they do here at Hatfield. The public is welcome to join us. This is a free event on April 8th from 10 to 4. And so folks just come on in and they can wander around the exhibit. They check in at the visitor center entrance. We'll give them maps and they'll be able to kind of explore the different things that we have going on Marine Science Day.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of the things folks can expect to see and do?
Sure. So those tabletop exhibits that we talked a little bit about, we have researchers that work with plankton, the microscopic little tiny plants and animals in the water. So we have a whole room of researchers that'll be talking about plankton. We have a whole group here with the Marine Mammal Institute that talk about whales, seals. And so there is an exhibit space that has all of the different researchers that are doing that. We have a couple different researchers that are doing acoustic work. So basically listening underwater, either to volcanoes or marine mammals. And so they're going to have exhibits set up where folks can come in and listen with them and learn a little bit more about the work that they do. And then we have a lot of researchers that are looking at fisheries and fisheries management. So we'll have some folks that are talking about those kind of things. And we have a whole group that are talking about our local bird populations that are here. So, and that's just a few.
That's awesome. And kids can come too. It's kid friendly, right?
Yeah, so this is definitely a family-friendly event. We lifelong learners, families with kids, but also kids that are just interested in marine science. So anybody and everybody is welcome.
And is it also going to be some of it virtual as well for those who may not be able to make it? Because there's a lot going on Saturday.
There's a lot going on. So, what we decided to do this year is provide our keynote speaker in a virtual platform. So, Dr. Sarah Gravem is going to be talking about the health of our near shore systems and the kelp forests. And she's going to be in the auditorium of the Marine Studies building. And her keynote is at 1. But if you are unable to join us, you can go to the HMSC website, look under events, click on Marine Science Day, and all of the information on how you can join that particular event at Marine Science Day will be there. So you can log on via Zoom.
And what are some other things that Hatfield Marine Science Center does for the public and with the public?
Yeah, so one of the other events that we do on a more regular basis is something called Science on Tap. So our Science on Taps have outgrown, we used to do them at the Rogue Brewery, but we have too many folks that are coming these days. So we're doing them in the auditorium of the Marine Studies building again. And we have Ultra Life, our cafe that is providing drinks and spirits and food before the events. Those happen every month. The date of of them is usually a Wednesday, and they start at 6 p.m. and they go to 7. And the topics vary, but it is a chance for our researchers again to go a little bit more in depth with their research with the community. So our next one that we have is on April 26th. We have Tom Calvanese and Ford Evans talking about the sea urchin populations that many people might have heard. They're a little bit out of balance, and so they are impacting our kelp forests. And that has to do with that interlink between the loss of a lot of our predatory sea stars that happened during sea star wasting a few years ago. Remove that predator, the sea urchins become a little bit more populated. Those sea urchins love to eat kelp, therefore our kelp disappears. So they're going to be talking a little bit about some of the restoration work that is happening. So anybody and everyone is welcome. Again, that particular event, you either can join us online or you can join us on site. So if you go to our events page again at Hatfield, you can find information about Science on Taps.
And let's talk about the Hatfield Marine Science Center. So excited that that is actually open again without reservation, right?
Yeah, so our visitor center, the Hatfield Marine Science Center Visitor Center, that's operated by Sea Grant, which is what most people see when they bring family and friends here, is loaded with all sorts of touch tanks and aquarium. During the pandemic, yep, you had to do reservations. We've now made that easier. You're able to come in when we are open, just walk in the door. Lots of great things to see. To explore all of our local critters that are here and to learn from our volunteers that volunteer their time to talk to the public and share their knowledge, which is amazing.
Now, do students help out at the Hatfield Marine Science Center?
Yeah, we have student volunteers, we also have student interns, and we have student what we call REUs, which are undergraduates that are coming and helping with those projects. So lots of activity with our students, including our public. So lots of our retirees or even parents with younger kids will come and volunteer in the visitor center.
And let's talk about some of the things that's there at the Hatfield Marine Science Center. Do you still have the touch pools and things?
Yep. So, yeah, if you haven't been in a little while, it'd be good to come on back if you've never been before. It's always a great place to come. We've got touch tanks that look at the animals that live in our rocky intertidal. So, sea stars and urchins and anemones are there. We also have an exhibit that talks about a wave formation and tsunami issues that we have here on the coast. And so, students and big students and kids can build structures and then try to knock them down with simulated waves, which is a really popular exhibit. We also have a simulated reality tank, which is basically filled with sand, and you're able to create structures in that sand, and it basically creates a map on top of it so you can see the topography. It helps people understand that the shape of the land continues under the water. So that's a really fun one to play with and just get your hands in and explore that. And then we have a lot of just aquarium, like you might think of, with fish and crabs and those kind of things in that space. Really, it's about the research that's happening at Hatfield. Many of the researchers have exhibits out there so that you can learn a little bit more about the work that happens here at Hatfield.
And let's talk a little bit about the ever popular octopus, which is always one of my favorites.
Yeah, so we often have a resident octopus in the visitor center. Octopus don't live very long. They live only about 3 to 5 years, depending on their species or their particular gender. And so we usually get them from a fisher folk that's here. They might crawl into a crab pot. They come up on board. A lot of our fishers know that we collect them. And so we will take them, we put them into quarantine behind the scenes for a little while and make sure that the octopus is suited to being in the public eye and is comfortable interacting with our husbandry folks, because we need to be able to feed them. We need to be able to care for them. We need to be able to make sure that they're healthy and well. And so not every octopus does well with that. So right now we do not have an octopus on display, but we do have one that's behind the scenes getting ready to come out. And it'll just depend on, it's a female, so it just depends on her on when she's ready to make her public debut. So it'll be really exciting when she does.
That's great. And you don't keep them until they die.
Yeah, so octopus go through something called senescence. Senescence is what they do when they're getting ready to reproduce. And no matter what we do with them, they are going to go through that process and then they will pass away. So, what we try to do is when they start showing signs of senescence, is we let them go so they can find a mate and do what they would naturally do out in the wild.
So I love that that whole process is very connected to the ocean, and that it's like you're borrowing the animal for a brief period of time for education and letting it go back to do its thing. That's really awesome. So, what about volunteers? You'd mentioned that the
Hmm,
Hatfield Marine Science Center is mainly volunteer driven.
it is.
Do you need volunteers? And if so, is there training that's provided?
Yeah, so we are always looking for volunteers. So if folks are interested in helping us out, they can either come into the exhibits and talk to the folks that are there, talk to the volunteers that are there, and learn a little bit more about what it's like to be a part of that. You can also go on our website and check out the visitor center, and there's a link there to volunteer. There's training that happens, and a lot of it is hands-on training where you're out there and you're working with a mentee in a mentor kind of situation to learn a little bit more about what you're doing. But it's really about sharing your passion and your excitement, and the knowledge will come.
Yeah, do you still have the bookstore available?
We have a gift shop that is available, so it looks a little different than it did if you haven't been here in a few years. But we're very excited to have the gift shop there, so you can get shirts and sweatshirts and books and coffee mugs and all sorts of fun stuff that have our logo on it and have other marine related things.
And do you do like school tours or anything like that at Hatfield?
Yeah, so we work again with Sea Grant to provide K through 12 education with our local school district, and we have lots of schools coming through right now. Many of our students have not been on field trips in the last few years, and so it's very exciting to see them come and be here and be immersed in the science that we've got. So yep, Sea Grant is the group that works with all of our K-12.
That's incredible and lots of fun for the kids. I know I love to watch children's faces kind of light up when they get a chance to actually put their hands into one of the touch pools
Mhm.
and see those animals up close. It's really thrilling for them.
If you haven't had a hug from a sea urchin lately, it's time to come back down to the visitor center.
And let's talk about some of the other things that are happening through not just Hatfield Marine Science Center, but through OSU. And that's the Whale Center. How are things going with that? We
Uh,
just wrapped up Whale Watch Week.
Yeah, so Hatfield in OSU is not directly related to the whale center that's up in Depot Bay. That is run through the state parks, but we do support the Whale Watch Week, which is an opportunity for volunteers again to hang out in certain areas where we can watch our gray whales migrate. So they migrate back and forth from Alaska down to Baja, Mexico, and they stay really close to shore. So we're able to kind of watch them. We also have researchers out kind of keeping an eye on them, monitoring how they move through the water, and watching how they feed, because we have some gray whales that actually don't make the full migration pattern. They stay and they hang out in Depot Bay. So again, for anybody who's local or not local and would like to, it's a really amazing place to come to Depot Bay. The gray whales come in really close to shore, and they feed on the bottom and they put on quite a show.
Let's talk a little bit about, is there a fee that folks have to pay if they want to come to either any of these events or to the Hatfield Marine Science Center?
So, Marine Science Day on April 8th is a free event, so there is no fee. You're welcome to make a donation, of course, but everyone is welcome. For any of our Science on Tap, those are also free. If you come on a normal day to our visitor center, there is a small fee to get in. It's $5 per person, and that's just to cover the overall cost of running that space.
All right. Cinnamon, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Um, Everybody, we are so excited to open our doors. So we just hope that you take some time and come back and join us either on Marine Science Day or any other day when you want to come to the Visitor Center. We are so excited to welcome you back.
And where can folks get some more information?
If you just go to your favorite platform and you Google or whatever you use, HMSC or Hatfield Marine Science Center, it's one of the first things that comes up, and you can check out our website and look for the event information right there.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Coffee with Kiera, again sponsored by The Human Being in Newport at 6th Street and Highway 101, and in Lincoln City at the north end of the highway on the west side near TLC Credit Union. Reporting for Oregon Coast Breaking News, I'm Kiera Morgan.